Good morning, everyone. My name is Pierre Bondesan. I'm a PhD student at Métiers Institute of Technology, and today I'm very happy to co-present this study on implicit learning of professional skills through immersive virtual reality, a media comparison study.
Good morning, my name is Audrenne CANAL. I'm glad to co-animate the presentation with Pierre on this work that he was supervised by Richir, Andréa Boisadan, and Sylvain Fleury.
So first of all, studying learning in immersive VR is complex because we have to consider the diversity of knowledge types, knowledge levels, and the wide range of learning theories. So on one hand, early research mainly focused on information retention that corresponds rather to a low level of knowledge. On the other hand, recent review showed that most studies investigate a form of passive learning through narration reception. And more interestingly, the same review highlighted that where VR is the most effective is when learners are actively engaged. So in this context, we investigated whether immersive VR enables for better real-world transfers than a non-immersive medium. And for that, we focused on decision-making skill because it represents a high level of knowledge. And additionally, we explored implicit learning strategies because they are based on active learning and replicate the way humans naturally learn through experience. Let's now explore the theory behind implicit knowledge and why it can be promising for VR learning. So implicit knowledge is the ability to learn and apply complex rules without being able to consciously process the underlying factors. And this happens in many daily life situations. As instance, recognizing someone's emotions or making driving decisions happen quickly without consciously analyzing each element. Then implicit knowledge acquisition relies on two key components: the repeated exposure to a situation with a feedback. A foundational study showed that participants were exposed multiple times to manipulated complex patterns, and with training they were able to predict the future location of the target, and that without being aware that there is actually a pattern and they have learned it. But in some cases, implicit knowledge implies multisensory scenario involving body position and spatial perception. A good example is identifying the greatest source of risk in emergency situations like for first responder training. Then VR are a great training medium for several reasons. With a strong sense of presence, plausibility illusion and place illusion make the learners process virtual events as real. Also, VR enables for first-person experiences through a simulated body involving motor system, proprioception, and in some cases touch. Then these two affordances make VR as a great exposure medium. But additionally, in learning activities, VR fosters a high motivation state that could potentially sustain the engagement through the repeated exposure. Now I will let Audrenne introduce our study.
Okay, our study was organized as a part of project. His name is Revivre. The objective of this project is to create professional wine cutting simulator in the virtual reality to learn professional people to prune wine. And during the project, we wonder if the simulator was effective. So we decide to conduct a study to observe what is happening when the student uses the simulator. Particularly, we choose the focus of the step of vigor assessing that occur just before the cutting. Okay, what can we tell about the hypothesis, Pierre?
So regarding performance, we predicted that immersive learning will positively affect both accuracy of the vigor assessment and the speed of the diagnosis. And for motivation, we predicted that immersion will positively impact intrinsic motivation for the educational activity. Now, I will let Audrenne deep dive in the design of the study.
Okay, regarding the method, the study follow 2-by-1 between subject design. We have one independent variable with two conditions, immersive and non-immersive. Finally, we have 3 dependent variables, assessment accuracy, assessment time, and motivation. For participants, there are 40, 25 women and 15 men, aged between 19 and 23. There are 30-year engineering students at the Agricultural and Food Sciences School. So let's speak about the procedure now. Participants are invited to take a part of experiment individually. First, the participants were invited to read the information later and provide written consent. After, the participant completed the pre-lesson questionnaire. Then participants are randomly assigned to one of two groups, the Immersive Virtual Reality group, 18 participants, and the slideshow group, 22 participants. Then the participants started the lesson to determine the vigor of the wine with the specific educational support of their group. Next step, participants completed the motivation questionnaire regarding the activity. And finally, the following week, all participants are taken of the vineyard for the evaluation phase. So let's speak about the material. For the pre-test measure, a questionnaire of 7 questions to collect socio-demographic information and prior knowledge of the lesson topic. For the learning content, 2 educational support, immersive virtual reality lesson, and the clickable slideshow with a screenshot from a immersive reality virtual reality event environment. During the learning task, each participant had to assess the vigor of a 20 wine and get a feedback after each eaten. For the post-test measure, a motivation questionnaire with 7 items completed after the lesson and evaluation. One by one, participants are given to teams were given a team sheet to report vigor of 20 wine in the field. So let's speak about the result, Pierre.
So to make sure the groups were comparable, a man-Whitney test confirmed no significant differences in age, gender, and prior knowledge. And for accuracy, VR group had a higher average score than the slideshow group, but the difference wasn't significant. Then the first prediction wasn't supported. For time performance, the VR group actually took longer than the slideshow group, and the difference was significant, going against our prediction. And finally, for motivation, the VR group reported significantly higher score with a strong statistical difference between the group. Overall, the study showed that while immersive learning boosts motivation, it doesn't necessarily improve learning performance in this situation. However, time results suggest an impact of immersion on behavior during the real-world transfer. And this could be due to the richer sensory experience requiring more time when transferring knowledge. Another possible explanation could be motivation and the higher engagement in VR lessons that goes beyond the lesson and extend to the real world. But this interpretation requires further investigation. So Finally, we encourage further research on implicit learning strategies in tasks where immersion is the most relevant. Also, we believe that future studies should investigate behavioral differences, not only time for using, for example, complementary metrics such as systematic observation. Well, thank you for your attention.
Thank you for attention, and we are ready to answer your question.